In the world of Dragon Ball, power is never handed out freely, unless you're Gohan, but if you're not Gohan, it's earned through blood, sweat, in Vegeta's case tears, and sheer determination. From intense training in up to 400 times Earth's gravity to training in an angel staff, the series is full of ridiculous training arcs, some of which have become as iconic as the greatest battles. Let's take a look at 5 of the best training camps in Dragon Ball. At number 5, we have Goku's training with King Kai. Let's take a look at how he got there. Goku's humble beginning of training started on his own, and his first master was a friend of his adoptive grandfather. While Roshi's training was far less intense than what we know now, it enabled Goku to learn the basics of martial arts, and eventually he came to training with Roshi's master, completing what took Roshi 3 years in under 3 days. This showed just how different Goku was than everybody, and it was proven when he became the first person to train with who was literally the god of Earth. This training helped him defeat Piccolo, but when he ultimately died against Raditz, a new level of training was needed. Because of Goku's kind heart and good deeds, he was not only able to keep his body in the other world, but also granted permission to cross Snake Way and train under King Kai. Something that the manga points out, surprisingly, has been done before, only by King Yama, and Goku was determined to be the second person to ever do it. Snake Way was a monstrous challenge, taking Goku 6 months to cross what's believed to be 1 million kilometers, the equivalent of 620,000 miles. As he finally reaches the end, Goku jumps up to the planet, only to plummet straight back down and fall to his knees. One extremely important part of this training was the fact that King Kai's planet was 10 times Earth's gravity. We'd seen training like this before, but at a very limited scale, only in terms of weighted clothing. Gravity was something completely different, and it was very effective. As dumb as it may sound, Goku's first task on this training was to catch a monkey. But in actuality, this was difficult, considering Goku would have to run around a planet that had 10 times the gravity of Earth. He was supposed to catch somebody that lived on said planet and was already used to the gravity. At first, Goku gives up, telling King Kai to hold on and feed him something because we know just how powerful Goku can get after a good meal, and technically he hadn't eaten in 6 months at that point. Which does make me wonder, how did Goku survive without eating anything all that time on Snake Way? That's a question for later though, because freshened up, he quickly chases down Bubbles and surprises King Kai so much so that he believes Goku could be the one to master the Kaioken, something that even he can do, even though he created it, which also doesn't really make sense, but we'll ignore it. And with that said, Goku moves on to the next phase. Over the next 118 days, Goku learns the Kaioken and Spirit Bomb, 2 techniques that were vital in the Saiyan and Namek sagas. The Spirit Bomb was so useful that it goes on to be used even against Kid Buu in the last arc of Z. Equipped with this training, the Snake Way that took Goku 6 months to cross at first is crossed in under 2 days on his way back. His power level goes from a mere 416 at the start to 8,000 in his base form. With that 8,000, Goku defeats Nappa, who single-handedly fought all the Z fighters at the same time and killed Chaozu, Tien, and Piccolo. On top of the 8,000 power level, Goku utilizes Kaioken up to a 4 times boost against Vegeta. This brought his max power level in the Saiyan saga up to 32,000, from the humble beginnings of 416 which he started with. King Kai's training laid the foundation for gravity training and the continued use of 2 phenomenal techniques. Without it, Goku would not have made it past the Saiyan saga. At number 4, we have Gohan's training on Supreme Kai's planet. We all know that Gohan has that dog in him, and if he wanted to, he could have always been the strongest Z fighter, standing above even Goku and Vegeta, and many times, he did. Gohan was the strongest, even without Super Saiyan 2 in the Cell saga, believing that Goku was holding back against Cell the whole time. When Goku powers up to show Karin how strong he is, he starts cracking Kami's lookouts, blowing away all the Z fighters, and Gohan just stands there, unimpressed. Unfortunately, after Super Saiyan 2 and Goku leaving the world in his hands, Gohan becomes a disappointment. He doesn't keep up with his training in the way that we hoped over the next 7 years until the Buu saga, which leads to him falling behind Goku and Vegeta in power. He could only go toe-to-toe with Dabura, who is regarded equal to Super Perfect Cell, who Gohan defeated 7 years prior. Gohan gets absolutely obliterated fighting, bro. I'm talking obliterated, not being able to put up any form of a fight. He gets blasted away, and his ki is so low that everyone thinks he's dead. Through the efforts of Shin and Kibito, he is saved and taken to their planet, believed to be the last hope against Buu. Gohan becomes the first person ever to pull out the Z-Sword, and the training that ensues with that sword is said to be exponential. In just a day, Gohan manages to wield the sword to near perfection, but the real power comes from within it. When Goku and Gohan test it and break it, Old Kai is released, and he releases Gohan's potential. And this potential unlock leads him to becoming so powerful that he gaps Super Saiyan 3. He creates one of the best manhandling scenes in all of Dragon Ball by straight up bodying Super Buu. Unfortunately though, Gohan gets a little too cocky with this new power, which leads to Buu getting a new power-up of his own. Gohan's potential unleashed form, also known as Ultimate, comes back again and again, proving to be Gohan's own path of power. In Dragon Ball Super Superhero, we see this form rivaling the Gammas, who are believed to be stronger than what Goku and Vegeta were, at least in Super Saiyan Blue in the Moro arc. It's also theorized that Gohan's beast form is in some way an evolution of Ultimate, but that's up to interpretation. It's without a doubt that this is one of Gohan's best training arcs. At number 3, we have the training arc in the Room of Spirit and Time during the Android and Cell sagas. Although the Z Fighters trained day and night for 3 entire years to prepare for Android 17 and 18, they were a force to be reckoned with. They obliterated Vegeta's pride, making him look like an easy fight, with 18 breaking his arm and leaving him shattered. When Goku wakes up after recovering from the heart virus, he knows that if Vegeta was no match, he wouldn't do much better either. That's when the idea to train in the long since forgotten Room of Spirit and Time was formed. A room so intense in nature that Piccolo says nobody was able to last a full year inside it. He even mentions that when Goku used it before, way back in the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, he was only able to last a month. The room's rough atmosphere, and as shown in the anime, intense cold and heat waves alongside its gravity make it a challenge for almost anyone to last in there. But as Goku and Vegeta were coming up on the evolution to Super Saiyan, the room was a great resource. Vegeta manages to become the first person to crack the Super Saiyan barrier, unlocking grade 2 and delivering a great beatdown of Cell until he of course had to point at himself and get cooked. Trunks showcases grade 3, which sacrificed all the speed for power, showing us that neither grades were the true evolution of Super Saiyan. When Goku and Gohan go inside, the two of them managed to achieve a feat no one thought possible by maintaining Super Saiyan as if it was their base form. While Vegeta and Goku spent nearly the same amount of time in the chamber, with Vegeta actually spending 2 months more, Goku was actually able to get much stronger, even by just releasing half of his power. The point I'm trying to make is that during this time of training, Goku was extremely effective. He basically figured out that pushing your body to its limits and then some is not a good way to train. The body needs rest at some point. Basically, he figured out how us humans need to work out. Most bodybuilders typically have at least one rest day, even if they're the most elite of the elite. This is shown even more by Goku telling Gohan that for the remaining 9 days, not only will they not go back in the time chamber for the full year they have left, but that they will also only use 3 of the remaining days to actually train, while using the other 6 to rest. We do later learn the other motive behind Goku's willingness to not train as much, and that was also him relying on Gohan. Gohan was again the true star of this training, believing not only when Goku was powering up that he was holding back, but also during his entire fight with Cell. This is actually made to be a point in the show that Goku uses to get Gohan to fight. He asks Gohan if he thinks that Cell would be too much for him while watching them fight, to which Gohan responds that he doesn't think so, believing that Goku wasn't even going all out. Goku then asks if Gohan thinks he was holding back, and as Goku expected, he says yes. This all goes to head when Gohan performs better than Goku and then achieves the true evolution of Super Saiyan, that being Super Saiyan 2. And seriously, we all remember watching Gohan transform, watching him just utterly demolish Cell. It was a phenomenal fight, and that fight alone is enough to cement the training that took place in the time chamber at the number 3 spot. The next two are probably the most raw training arcs of all time, and Goku's training on the way to Namek is by far one of the most epic training sequences of all time. This man goes to training in 10 times gravity to 100 times in just 6 days. This training scene might also be one of the last times we saw blood used so freely. The scene where he shoots up between 80 and 100 times gravity, something that dude was not ready for, is absolutely brutal. He tries everything to get himself on the ground, but even a Kamehameha sends itself back after failing against the gravity. Goku was just an absolute menace in this scene, somehow getting free and crawling his way to turn off the machine. He goes from being able to use a Kaioken times 4, which took him more than 150 days to even taste that level of Kaioken, to now in 6 days going all the way up to 20 times. Now don't get me wrong, Goku 100xing Saitama's training on his way to Namek is not the only thing that allowed him to get to a power level of 90,000. He was abusing Senzu beans, and I mean using them like they were steroids. We all know that Zenkais were a huge part of the Namek arc, taking Goku from a mere 90,000 to 3 million with one Zenkai, while Vegeta got Krillin to blow a hole in his chest so that he could compete with Frieza after getting the Zenkai from healing. So those Senzu beans definitely played a part. But once Goku's done with his training, the next bit that was extremely epic was his arrival on Namek. Toriyama had just shown a new force to be reckoned with in the form of the Ginyu Force, and not even their best guy was used to absolutely beat Vegeta and Krillin to a pulp, even going as far as to break Gohan's neck. But Goku, he just swoops in there and one-taps him, leading Vegeta to believe in that moment that Goku just became the Super Saiyan of legend. The only training arc that tops Goku's is Vegeta's. And I think, hands down, this is the most raw training sequence in all of Dragon Dragon Ball. Vegeta training in 400 times gravity in preparation for the androids is an absolutely phenomenal training arc. Vegeta trains in up to 4 times what Goku was training at on his way to Namek, and he was training to absolute exhaustion, to the point where Bulma had to hospitalize this man. The funniest part about this was Yamcha even thinking that he could do it, because we see him make an attempt, and he absolutely folds, almost turning into flatbread. Vegeta's motivation through this whole arc was,
I wanna be a Super Saiyan! I wanna!
He saw not only Goku break the Super Saiyan wall, but also just some random Saiyan that he had never seen nor heard from. Of course, it was his son, but to Vegeta, it was just one more person that got to that level before him. Dude was having complete nightmares about the two of them having Super Saiyan and him not. Eventually, of course, with this rigorous training, Vegeta arguably surpasses Goku when he shows off Super Saiyan for the first time and beats 19. One thing that you have to love about Vegeta's drive is that no matter what, he will always pick himself off the floor and keep training on. With that said, thank you guys for watching, like and subscribe, and check out this video to continue your good day on YouTube.